Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. This is your big brother, Dr.Umar Ifatunde Oguntade, coming to you live and direct from Cincinnati, Ohio. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all my Cincinnati Africans. I want to give a shout out to all my Cincinnati Africans. I want to give a shout out to all my Cincinnati Africans who showed up and showed out last night. The place was jam-packed. The place was jam-packed. Shout out to Cincinnati for showing up and showing out. I will see you all in Columbus, Ohio for the Black Ohio Expo on Sunday, May the 25th, African Liberation Day. I will next be in Ohio on Sunday, May the 25th, African Liberation Day in Columbus, Ohio. Where my Columbus Africans at? Where my Columbus, Ohio Africans? King Kong consciousness is invading Columbus on African Liberation Day. But before I go speak to these babies at this school in Cincinnati, before I go speak to these babies at this school in Cincinnati, before I go speak to these babies in Cincinnati, I want to say this because there's a lot of memes and commentary and content being spoken of with regard to President Donald Trump, a notorious racist, and black people are trying to put a positive spin on the things that Donald Trump is doing. The reason so many Africans are trying to put a positive spin on the things that Donald Trump is doing is we suffer from a white savior complex. We suffer from a white savior complex. We suffer from a white savior complex. So we always have to have a Caucasian in a position of influence or authority who we have to make look good. Because for African people who suffer from a white savior complex, we don't feel safe when we don't have a white person who we can look to as being somehow in our favor. Now, this is not a pro-Republican message or a pro-Democrat message, because when it comes to black people, there is no red party or blue party. There's only the white party. I said, when it comes to Africans in America, there is no red party or blue party. There's only the white party. I said, when it comes to the American African, there's no red party or blue party. There's only the white party. But here's what I want y'all to understand. Why Donald Trump is doing what he is doing. The reason Donald Trump is purging the government, the reason why he's trying to cut as much from the federal budget as possible, the reason he's trying to eliminate all of these social service safety programs is because he wants to force you, the unemployed, the underemployed, the disabled. He wants to force everyone into becoming a slave to white capitalism. I'm going to say it again, and I want you to understand, overstand, and understand me. I want you to understand, overstand, and understand me. Donald Trump isn't doing this to help the government. Donald Trump is purging the government financially to help corporate America, to help big business. The more people he cuts off, the more people he cuts off from relevant social safety net programs, food stamps, WIC, housing, Social Security, the more he cuts, the more that the underclass, the working class, the disabled class, the oppressed class will have to go enslave for corporate America. He wants all hands on deck for the corporations. He needs all hands on deck for the corporations. He's not doing this to help the government. He's a businessman. He is a capitalist. He's doing this to help the corporations. This purge is to force you into corporate slavery. It is not to save the government money. Brothers and sisters, please wake up and smell the coffee. This is all a grand scam for corporate America. It is a grand scam for corporate America. And because he is deporting illegals and even legals, because of his deportation agenda, he needs you to work even more. Because if they're going to get rid of excess people from this country, those people that they are getting rid of are the ones who are working under the table. They are the ones who are working for less than minimum wage. They are the ones who are working without benefits. You cannot get rid of millions of illegals if you don't have anyone to replace them in the corporate slave market. You must always have a large population of cheap labor in order for capitalism to survive. I need y'all to hear me well. I need y'all to hear me well. Capitalism only works when you have poor people whose labor you can exploit. The illegals were just that. The illegals were the poor, cheap labor that corporate America was exploiting. If they're getting rid of the poor, cheap labor that corporate America was exploiting, who is going to take their place? They need poor Americans to take their place. They need black people to take their place. And under capitalism, and we've talked about this before, and I'm no socialist at all, I'm a Pan-Africanist, but under capitalism, if your labor cannot be exploited, if your dollar cannot be exploited, you are useless. I want y'all to hear me on this. This is important. Under the philosophy of capitalism, which is the worst economic system ever created, it is the economics of white supremacy. Under capitalism, every human being's worth is determined by your ability to do one of two things. You either can slave for the corporation or you can buy from the corporation. If you can't slave for the corporation, and if you can't buy from the corporation, you're better off unalived. You're better off unalived. This is why they dropped the COVID bomb 5 years ago to take out all of our elders. This is why they dropped the COVID bomb 5 years ago to take out all of our elders. This is why they dropped the COVID bomb 5 years ago to take out all of our elders. Because once you retire, you can no longer slave for the corporation, and you don't really need to buy from the corporation. Elders can survive off of very little, and they can't work anymore, or shouldn't have to work anymore, or don't want to work anymore. So under capitalism, retired people who collect Social Security, who collect pensions, are useless. If you can't slave for me to get rich, or if you can't buy from me to get rich, you are useless. So what Donald Trump is doing, he's basically saying to the American people, if you can't work for the corporation, and if you can't buy from the corporation, you're better off homeless and unalived. That's why they're not going to do nothing about homelessness, because homelessness is an unnatural outgrowth of capitalism. Poverty is an unnatural outgrowth of capitalism. Donald Trump is making you think he's saving America money so it'll be better off for you. No, he's not. He's cutting the programs so you can replace the illegal immigrants who are being deported. I said he's cutting the programs so you can replace the illegal immigrants who are being deported. The reason Elon Muskrat is proposing a $5,000 payment to every American, the reason Elon the hypocrite Muskrat, whose Tesla automobiles depend on forced child labor in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the reason Elon Muskrat wants to send every American a $5,000 check is to ease the pain of the transition from social support to social slavery. So they want to give poor white America a $5,000 check because they're assuming poor white America is politically unintelligent enough to recognize that that $5,000 one-time payment that Elon Musk wants to give you, that $5,000 one-time payment that Elon Musk rat wants to give you will be spent in a matter of weeks, if not days. Look at inflation in this country. Donald Trump criticized Joe Biden for inflation. And now, because of his tariffs on imported goods from China and Canada and everywhere else, he's raising inflation even more. The cost of living in America is not going down under Donald Trump. The cost of living in America is going up under Donald Trump because of the tariffs and the cuts. So the very thing he said he was against from the Democrats, he's doing himself. He's doing himself. He's doing himself. So brothers and sisters, they're going to suffocate Black America if we don't come together and do something for ourselves. This Donald Trump administration is engineered to suffocate Black America. Democratic Party plantation slaves, Kamala was going to do the same thing, but in another way. So get off your high horse. Democratic Party plantation slaves, Kamala was going to do the exact same thing. She was going to use the immigrants. Donald Trump is using traditional white power. Kamala Harris was going to use the immigrants to suffocate Black America out of existence. Donald Trump is using traditional white power. Same goal, different strategy. Same goal, different strategy. Same goal, different strategy. So it's time for us to wake up and organize, because organization is the only thing that will save the American African people. Y'all could keep on worrying about sports. Y'all could keep on worrying about hip hop. Y'all could keep on worrying about clothes, gossip. Y'all could keep on worrying about 50 Cent, Rick Ross, and Big Meech. Y'all could keep on worrying about all these other things going on in this country. You better start organizing. Donald Trump is cutting the safety nets to force Black people out of existence. What better way to gentrify the Black community than to make all the retirees homeless? What better way to gentrify the Black community than to make all the Black retirees homeless, brothers and sisters? You got to wake up and read between the lines. They playing chess with us, not checkers. And you sitting around waiting for reparations, that ain't nothing but a death sentence. You sitting around, how can a disorganized people get reparations? You a $2 trillion people. Let's start using that money to build institutions and infrastructure. You a $2 trillion people. Let's start using that money to build institutions and infrastructure. This your big brother King Kong Consciousness coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to all my beautiful African queens, my Cincinnati queens, Columbus, Queens, Youngstown, Queens, Cleveland, Queens, Columbus. I will see you on African Liberation Day, Sunday, May 25th at the waterfront. Black Ohio Expo. King Kong returns to Columbus after nearly 10 years. I said the Prince of Pan-Africanism is coming back to Columbus, Ohio after nearly 10 years. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. You need to reach me by text 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Podcast requests, lecture requests, life skills, coaching requests, child consultation, special ed consultation. Text my phone. I do not check Instagram inboxes. You'll never hear from me. Text my phone, 215-989-9858. Pan-Africanism a perish. Garveyism a get back. Unify or unalive.